You know what time it is. You know what time it is.
How firm thy friendship. Oh,
you know what time it is. I'm brawl with them boys of the fall. You know what time it is. On the ground with a nose for the ball. You know what time it is. Blood, sweat, and them tears for this game. Leaving it all out on the field with no fear for you lames. Yeah, you know what time it is. Come brawl with them boys of the fall. Covered in gray and scarlet, massive, stiff arms to your jaw. We breaking it. We sick of seeing you clowns with the crown. We taking it.
What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk about college football with real fans. I'm Devan, that's Melo, and tonight we're freaking pumped, dude. Here on Buckeye Boys, you know we bring on guests from time to time, but tonight we got two very special guests with us, man. We got Donnie Nickey, Tim Anderson, both players on the 2002 National Championship Ohio State team, so stoked to have them on here. Donnie, Tim, appreciate y'all coming. How y'all doing tonight?
Man, doing great. Thanks for having me on. Yeah,
I'm excited.
So as I played the intro video, I realized that maybe you guys don't know a lot about Buckeye Boys, and you were probably watching that video thinking, why in the flip is there a raccoon in their intro video? I don't know if you guys caught that or not, but I have a pet raccoon. His name's Cujo. He comes on the show from time to time, so that's why he was on there. I figured I'd let y'all know, man. But Melo, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm great. It's an honor to have two legends here. The Fiesta Bowl is one of my favorite national championship games, period. Especially in high school, I got to go to school. I'm from Jersey, so I got to go to school. Either you like Ohio State, you like Penn State, you like Notre Dame, or the team up north in Jersey. So I got to go to school and talk trash to everybody. It was awesome. And nobody thought we were going to win. No one. They're like, that Miami team is too loaded. We're not going to win. And then when Maurice Claret stripped Sean Taylor, I was like, yeah, this is it.
Yeah. Hey, shout out everybody in the chat, all the regulars. If you're a member of the channel, put a question in there. You're going to have to put your question more than once. So if I don't ask it, you got to type it again and ask it. So, Donnie and Tim, for the younger generation, for those of us that might not know exactly who you are, can you guys give us, starting with you, Donnie, can you give us a little introduction, the position you played, the whole 9 yards there at Ohio State?
For sure. Yeah, so I played free safety for the Ohio State Buckeyes from 1999 to 2002. I grew up in Plain City, Ohio. I went to Jonathan Alder High School. And, man, it was just the best thing that ever happened to me was to get a full scholarship to Ohio State. And, man, we won the national championship in 2002. My great teammate, Tim Anderson, is on here too. Man, I'm just excited about this opportunity to talk about some football.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. Excited to have you. Tim, how about you, man?
I grew up in Clyde, Ohio, a small town in the middle of nowhere that very few people have actually heard of. I went to Clyde High School. Somehow Ohio State found me in that little town and gave me a full ride. Was there same years as Nickey, 99 through 03. The championship year was my junior year. Obviously, great career. Won a lot of games, won the national championship. Definitely some proud years of my life.
Amen. That's awesome. Well, Tim, I figure I'd tell you that we're probably related. My last name is Anderson as well, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that we're related because I feel honored to be related to an Ohio State football player.
Well, you got the looks. We both got the beard, too.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Man, Dev's been getting hit on a lot, man. What's going on? I'm feeling left out over here.
Well, fellas, I guess we'll go ahead and get started, man. A lot of people, I know this question's going to come up in the chat, but playing football that back then was a little bit different than it is now. But can you guys kind of give us, and this, when I've asked other Ohio State players that played back in the day, they have a really hard time answering this question. So if you got 3 moments you want to talk about or whatever it is, just pretty much what we want to hear is a story, a good story about your time at Ohio State. And I always ask that question can you tell us what your favorite moment was at Ohio State? And like I said, most people are like, oh, wow, there's 25 of them. I can't answer that. But if you think of something that's very memorable to you that you guys still think back on now and was like, dang, man, that day was awesome, that time was awesome, or whatever it is. Tim, we'll start with you.
There's probably a couple of memories that come to my mind. One, no one knows this unless you happen to be watching that game. Sophomore year, so 01, Tress's first year, we played up at Michigan. That day, for a couple of reasons, it was my first game against Michigan, first time I started against Michigan, and that was pretty exciting. Plus, it was the only time in that game, it was the only time I actually ever got an interception. Only made it about 4 yards out the but I did get a pick. About the only time in my career I ever got my hands on a ball. So that day was pretty special. And then obviously, the other games after that with Michigan. And then the national championship game, probably I tell people the one memory that I kind of pull, I think, because maybe Donnie's different, but it's odd. People are like, oh, man, they talk about the championship game. Oddly enough, I don't remember a whole lot about it. It's kind of crazy. You would think you would remember everything, but maybe there's just so much going on. I remember bits and pieces, but I don't remember it like you would probably think. But I do remember, like you said, nobody thought we were going to win that game. And the first defensive play we had, this will always stick out in my mind. We didn't get a sack on that play, but at the end of the play, all four of us D linemen, Will Smith, Darian Scott, Kenny Peterson, all four of us were in that backfield, and Dorsey was on the ground. And I remember when we kind of turned to go back to the line of scrimmage for the huddle, their entire offensive line just kind of was like looking back and forth at each other. And it was kind of one of those, it was like, oh shit, like these boys can play. This might be a longer night than we expected. And I don't know why, just that moment in that game just has always stuck out to me. I always remember kind of the blank stares that some of those guys had after that play. And then obviously the rest of the game, continued. But those are probably the memories that jump out at me the most.
Yeah. So, Tim, I got a very important question. Do you remember who the quarterback was that you got the interception off of?
Navarre, I think it was.
Okay, good.
Was that Navarre? Would that have been the year Navarre was there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it wasn't like, don't get me wrong, this wasn't like I picked off a screen or anything fancy. Mm-hmm. I mean, this got batted around by like 2 or 3 guys, and it just happened to kind of end up in my gut.
Listen, no. You can't try to downplay it, dude. You can't downplay that.
In that game, that counts.
I got lucky.
Tenfold.
Yeah, you got an interception, man. Hey, Donnie, how about you, man?
Man, there's so many good moments, but like Tim, I don't really remember the national championship game. I got on the first punt of the game, I was the personal protector, and I'm busting it up through the center, and all out of nowhere comes Sean Taylor and just blasted me. And man, I was like concussed for the rest of the game. So I was barely. I don't have but a few memories of that game. And then, but the biggest memory I got is before the game, Dustin Fox and I both wrote on a piece of paper, National Champions 2003, and exchanged it, and then put it in my wallet. And man, we still got those pieces of paper. So I mean, to be there after the game and see what we had done, man, it was an amazing experience. Like there's all kinds of moments, but man, I really don't remember much of the game. I remember before and I remember after.
Yeah.
But man, not much in between.
I got you.
No concussion protocol back then, so.
Man, none. No.
Hey, that's pretty cool, man. You got to get that paper framed, put that thing up on the wall, dude. That's pretty serious.
Sure.
I like it, man. All right, Melo, what you got?
That's funny. I didn't know that with Donnie and Dustin, and it's funny because oddly enough, the night before, I still have this letter. Actually, I actually wrote myself a letter. The same thing that we were going to win. And I remember when I was packing my bag, and I think most players would agree with this. Everybody's kind of got like a routine, and you always stick to that same routine every game day and all that kind of stuff. And I remember I was packing my bag, and when I was done packing it before I left, I kind of stood there and I was like, oh damn. And Fred Puggich, one of our linebackers was my roommate. He was like, "What's wrong?" I go, "Man, I don't have room to stick my helmet in this bag." He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, after we win, it was the only time in 4 years I ever repacked my bag to make sure I had enough room to put my helmet in because I knew we were going to win that game and I wanted to take the championship helmet home with me."
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
one of our listeners, Mika, she's an avid listener all the time. You guys have already said you don't remember much about the game, so I don't know if you'll be able to answer this question. But she wants to know what it was like to beat a program that was that cocky. I'm sure there was a bunch of trash talking before the game and the whole 9 yards. Do you guys remember that at all, what that felt like?
And yeah, I mean, we talked trash to each other the entire game. That was nothing new. And actually, my very first start at Ohio State was against Miami, and then my last game I ever played was against Miami. So back in 1999, we played Miami, and man, that was my first college football game that I started. And man, I was so surprised by the speed and the amount of trash talking that was going on and how intense it was. But to finally get revenge on them in the national championship game was amazing. And man, there's all kinds of trash talking. I think that was my best attribute. That was my best ability. My best ability was availability and trash talking. So,
And playing
and
concussed.
it was fun. Yeah, playing concussed. Yeah, practicing concussed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Tim? Do you remember anything specific from that game about their cockiness?
Yeah. So they had their starting center was a guy named Brett Romberg, and he was kind of known for kind of the trash talking and all that kind of stuff. And he had some things to say. And I was not, unlike Donnie, I felt like I was kind of a quiet guy. I didn't say a whole lot. I was kind of in my head, I'm just going to let my play do the talking. And he was talking about pinching my ass like throughout the game. and I never really understood the thing about it. And, we went through those first couple of series, and at least up front, their O-line wasn't saying a whole lot. And I think they had their hands full, and I think they recognized it. And I mean, our D-line was really good. And even our backups, I mean, we rotated, 7-8 guys through there, and we were all pretty good. And then I know at the end of the game, you do the typical handshakes and all that kind of stuff. And I told him, I said, "Dude, you never pinched my ass." And he pinched my ass at that point.
Oh, that's great.
So I got a question for both of you. What was it like playing for Tress in general? What was he like as a coach and just as a human and outside of just football? What are your feelings? And I guess we'll start with Donnie.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was an honor at first. So I was there for Cooper, and then Tress. The transition was, I don't know. We were all kind of skeptical about what he was about and wanted to get a feel for him, but he made it completely different. Like Coach Coop ran an NFL program, and Tress ran a real solid team with a foundation built on a spiritual principles that at first I really didn't agree with it. I was like, we're just here to play football. Like, why are we talking about spiritual things and getting to know each other? And man, he provided an infrastructure that allowed us to become very good friends and teammates and better people. So it was more about being a better person than it was about being a better football player. And then the wins are a byproduct of our hard work and our being good people. And man, it took a little time to really set in, but it really did. And when it did, I mean, the 2002 season speaks for itself. I mean, there was a bunch of guys that were playing for each other, and putting their lives on the line for each other. And I mean, I've been on a few teams like that, and that was one of them. And you win games that you're not supposed to win, like we did, and that's what happens. So man, it was an honor. It was an honor to play for Tress. He's such a good role model and such a good, solid person. That and like I said before, the byproduct of doing the right thing and sacrificing your individual wants and needs for the team resulted in a lot of wins.
Yeah. Dude, that sounds eerily familiar
Yep.
of the team this year and Ryan Day's message. And I find it funny, not really funny, but I find it Coach Tress has been Ryan Day reached out to Coach Tress before this year, and he's been more involved in the team this year. And now all of a sudden we keep hearing about, the Buckeyes playing for each other. Like this playoff run has been all about, hey man, let's stay together for another week. We gotta keep this team together for one more week. So I love that message. It's a beautiful message, man. Clearly it works, dude, because this team this year is playing pretty good too, and you guys won a natty. So Tim, how about you, man?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. And I agree. I think a lot of us were pretty skeptical. Obviously, everybody knows the legend of Jim Tressel, but as players on the team, I was kind of skeptical. I think a lot of people tend to forget he came from Youngstown State to Ohio State.
Oh yeah,
and that's a big jump to go from that small school, that college. I think that they call it the college playoff series still. But to make that jump from there to Ohio State, I think a lot of us were skeptical. Like, man, can he handle this jump? Like, this is big time and all that. And I think pretty quickly, he got all of us on board. For a lot of the things that Donnie said, playing together, working together. I remember doing some goofy things. We like Midnight Madness, like basketball tournaments.
Yeah.
We did like softball in the indoor. Like we did these like what I guess are goofy things, but I think it really brought our team together, kind of doing stuff outside of football, away from football.
Yeah.
And I think he brought us together as a team, and I think that does make a difference. It really does. If you look at that 02 team, I'm not trying to disrespect, and I think Donnie would agree. There's no disrespect to anybody on our team. But we didn't have any real superstars, not like Miami did. We were all kind of like, I guess, blue collar type guys. Just we played for each other, we loved each other. We did our jobs, and cohesively we got things done. And I think in those types of situations, when you get to tough games, those overtime games, that comes through, and we were used to that type of stuff. Us going to overtime in that game, that was. Shoot, I feel like we played a couple overtime games that year already. That wasn't that's just more snaps that we were going to have to do. So, and he prepared us for that, mentally, physically. And I agree. I feel very blessed to have played for him. And the fact that we haven't played for him for 20 years and all the teams that he had and the guys that he coached, I could literally pick my phone up right now, give him a call, and he would answer the phone, and we could sit there and talk.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
A lot about him 20 years after we've left.
Yeah, that's amazing. It sounds like you guys created a brotherhood there, man. And that's kind of leads into the next question from one of our viewers here, Buck65, because, just me as an Ohio State fan, never played, for the Buckeyes or anything like that. But just being a fan, traveling around to all these games, I find it so fascinating how close even the fan base is. Like if you're a Buckeye fan, you're like immediately family when you show up to a game to other Buckeye fans. So I can only imagine how close you guys got. And speaking of that, they want to know, after your college stint, did being a player at Ohio State help you in your endeavors after college, like whatever you did what you learned there, the brotherhood, the things Tress taught you, being a Buckeye, does it help you in life after football?
And absolutely. I don't think there's any question that the kind of teammates and teamwork the team building that we did helps in every area of my life. So going into the NFL. So after I got drafted in the 5th round because we won that game, and I had the base. So everything was a downgrade from Ohio State, like the facilities, the pads, the jerseys, the practice jerseys. It was all a downgrade, but the base message of being a teammate and doing something for my fellow teammate and serving my teammates, like let me last for 8 years in the NFL when I shouldn't have really been there that long. Like I covered kicks and punts because that was my entry on the team. So yeah, I'm just really grateful that I got that that good foundation from Tress, and really set me up for a good career. And then after football started, it's another thing. I opened back up my winner's manual, and I would read a little bit of my winner's manual every day, which is a book that Tress gave us. It's a big playbook, but it's got football anecdotes and stuff in it, but it's not about football. It's not the playbook. This is the playbook for off the field and on the field. But man, it helped, and it was such a great resource. I'm just grateful to have it.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of that too. And oddly enough, you brought that owner or the winner's manual up. I've relied on that a number of times, and believe it or not, so I'm a high school teacher now, and it is one of the few books I have on my desk at school that I kind of go to. I mean, being a teacher is pretty stressful at certain. Not uncommon for me to grab that book, and just so we always did during camp with that book. We always did quiet time, and I think it was maybe like 10 minutes. Something like that, like the first thing we did during camp in our first team meeting. And I would say every couple of weeks at least, I probably take that 5 or 10 minutes. I open it up, read a few pages, kind of go back to how we did it, just to kind of, get myself mentally right, to kind of keep going about the days and different things like that. And I mean, I keep that book pretty close, so that I always have it handy in case, I need it. And so, yeah, a lot of that stuff is still around 20 years later.
Yeah.
So, Tim, what grade are you teaching?
I teach 9th grade and 10th grade, U.S. and world history.
Oh, man.
The most exciting subjects you can teach in high school.
I loved history when I was in high school, actually.
You didn't in high school, I guarantee it.
I did not.
I loved it. I got great grades in history. But we have a question for you guys. Well, it's mainly for Tim from Andre Green. He said, when you sacked Dorsey on the last play in the second overtime, what did you say to him?
Well, to correct him, I didn't actually sack him. That was C that got back there. But he's probably referring to when I went up to him. And honestly, it was not what Tress taught, I guess. I did it. I didn't even think about it. I didn't realize I did it at the time. But after every game, like, just naturally, and you see it today, you see it after NFL games, like you just naturally go up to the other team and shake hands and, do that type of stuff. And you always did that with the quarterback, and I just naturally did it without really thinking. Of course, I don't really think it set in exactly what was going on. I don't think it really sat in with me that, hey, we just won this game and we were national champs. But I just went up and congratulated him on a great career, because the dude only lost like 2 games, I think, as a starter.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, something like that. It was kind of crazy. Wished him the best, and the typical things you say to your opponents after a game.
Yeah. Nice. Well, fellas, I think we're about to dive into some football about what's going on this year. But before we do that, you guys know one of our brothers here on Buckeye Boys, huge part of the Buckeye Boys, Sean Schrock. He's the one that reached out to you guys originally and made this connection. So we're going to bring him on here for a minute. I think he's got a couple questions for you guys about your time at Ohio State. And then we're going to dive in, if you guys are ready, dive into what's going on this year with Ohio State football.
Hey, guys. Thanks for coming on. Got a question for both of you. What went through your head when you saw Craig throw that bomb to Michael Jenkins on the 4th and 1 on Holy Buckeye against Purdue?
And just catch that ball, man. Catch that ball. Please catch that ball. Dear God in heaven, catch that ball. Man, it was just the answered prayer. Like, we had so many plays like that season. That, like I said, is a byproduct of the close relationships that we built on that team and the full trust in each other that we knew that Mike was going to catch that ball, because he knew that Craig was going to throw him that ball, and we were going to persevere and overcome any adversity that showed itself. I mean, that's just the way we started going about our business. And then the result speaks for itself. It was amazing. But yeah, just prayers. I was praying.
Well, Donnie looked at that a lot differently than I did. I was pissed, to be quite honest with you. Being a lineman, like even now, like I have a tendency when I watch games, I'm watching the trenches. Like I'm watching the offense. I don't really see receiver routes or DB. I just don't see that stuff. I'm just watching line. And if you watch that play, it was like 4th and 1. Craig's like 6'5". We just needed a first down. That was it. And he could have ran for the first down pretty easily. So when he threw it, I'm like, dude, just get the first down. What are you doing? And then Mike caught it, and then it was like, all right, that's good. We'll take that.
Yeah.
Well, initially for a few seconds there, I was pissed off.
Hey, we're going to do one more question from our members, Vaders on here all the time. He wants to know, was there ever a moment in 2002 when you guys like sat back and were like, dang, this year's special, like we can go win a natty this year? Was there ever that moment, or did it just kind of build up?
Man, I don't know that it was national championship. I think we took it one game at a time.
Yeah.
And we knew that our next opponent, the most important play is the next play. So not to look too far ahead, but I'd say about 3 or 4 games into the season, once Maurice started breaking out, and we found out what a great freshman class we had and all the talent that was there, and then all the pieces started to get put together. It was probably about mid-season where we thought we could, have a good run at going undefeated.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there was one moment where it was like, oh, this is going to happen. I just think we kept chipping away at it,
Yeah.
We bounced back. I think we held each other accountable. Things of that nature. If guys weren't doing what they needed to, we could get on each other. I tell people that, and they're like, "Oh, you guys." Yeah, but we wouldn't get mad at each other. Like it's kind of I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, I guess. But if Donnie would have come up to me and been like, "What the hell are you doing? Like you're not holding up front," like I wouldn't have taken it personally. Like I think. And that was, I think, something special that I started to see with our team, because we would have it with our O-line like all the time. Like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, make your blocks. Like, you can do this. What's the problem? And again, it was never anything. Nobody ever took it personally, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It was
like,
all right. Like, we held each other accountable, and we got over those rough humps. And I think after we've done that for a while, and we got late in the season, it was like, man, like we can do this, and it just kind of kept building.
Yeah, amen.
I think the fan base this year was freaking out over the Nebraska game that it was such a close game, and they were all worried. I mean, that year you guys had 5 games that were 7 points or less that you won by. I mean, I don't think half these younger guys that are fans now could handle it that year. I mean, you guys seemed like every game come down to the end with you guys.
Most of
all right,
did.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We built a lot of faith. Got a lot of faith from those early wins to those close games. I mean, so we never had any blowouts, so it wasn't like we were getting a lot of time to rest. And man, we got in shape. We were in great shape. We did hold each other accountable because I love my teammates. I love Tim. I mean, I don't want to disappoint Tim, so I'm going to go harder and lay my life on the line for him and do everything I can. I mean, you'd have to pull me off the field on a stretcher if I was going to leave. Like that's just what we did.
Yeah, and I think a lot of too was, I think we developed a unity in the sense where, at least from my perspective, on defense, Donnie and I were both on the field at the same time. Like, I never worried about Donnie. I'm like, does Donnie know what he's doing back there? Like, and hopefully he never had to worry about me, or the 10 other guys had to worry about me. Like it was okay. I know what my job is. I'm going to do my job. And I trust the 10 other guys are going to do their job. I trust that our offense is going to do their job, that, Nuge is going to make the kicks, that, Groom's going to pin them deep on the punts. Like, and I think overall that when you do that really brings the team together. And that's, that's why teams win, especially when they're not supposed to.
Yeah. Amen. All right, Sean, you got anything else before we let you off here and dive into the C-Zone?
No, I just want to say thanks for coming on, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Hey, Sean, we'll catch you later, buddy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here we go. I'm going to start off with a very easy question for you guys because I don't know if you follow Ohio State football a lot. Never mind. I know you do. So anyway, we know what's happened this year with this season. We know we lost to the Ducks. We know we lost to a certain other team. Okay, and that has brought up this question, right? That has caused a divide in the fan base. Some of the fan base says, we don't care if Ryan Day wins the Natty the next 3 years in a row. If he doesn't beat the team up north, we want him gone. The other half says if he wins national championships but doesn't beat the team up north, he can stay. He's winning national championships. So I was being sarcastic about the super easy question. What do you guys like better, having a national championship or the times that you beat the team up north? Which one's better?
I love this question.
I'm going to go with 0-2 when we did both.
Okay. All right. He's taking the neutral ground.
There's no way to pick one or the other.
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And like this year, man, it stings. That Michigan win or that Michigan loss stings. But that's what they needed to come together and really bond as a unit and really have each other's backs. And they looked at each other in the eyes and say, I got your back. Go play hard, and I got your back. And they know that.
Yeah,
so the national championship is the goal.
Yeah, and because I wondered, had that Michigan game gone as expected, like everybody thought it was going to, where Ohio State was just going to basically blow them out of the water, win by 20, 30 points, whatever, would they be playing Monday night?
Yeah.
That's what me and Dev had plenty of conversations about. I don't know if they would have because it brought them closer. They started working harder. So I'm going to ask the same question, but a different way. If Coach Day wins the Natty this year, right? Do you forgive him for November 30th and the play calling? Because I think it was mostly a play calling thing. And there's like rumors out there that maybe Will wasn't all the way healthy after he took that big hit. So do you think the heat is completely off of Coach Day if he wins the Natty? If you were playing for him,
man, I think Coach Day is a great coach. Yeah. I think his job is not in jeopardy. To me, I mean, I don't think that. What's his record over his career is crazy good. It's like a 90-something%,
or is about to be
70-10. That's a great record. I mean. He's had success. I think he showed his team building and resourcefulness and really come back from that loss and kind of avenge that and become what we expect and we want this team to be.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah. I don't think Day's in trouble at all. And I think when people react like that, I think those are like knee-jerk reactions. And I also don't forget – and I think a lot of, I'll say, younger Buckeye fans, maybe because of that long run we had where we basically beat them every year for, however many years, and maybe lost like once or twice over
15 years,
almost like 20 years or 15 years or something like that. It was crazy. That, like they're kind of overreacting to one game. I mean, they came out against Tennessee. I didn't get to see the game. I was at a wrestling tournament, but caught the highlights, but then obviously watched the last couple. And I mean, they've looked like a completely different team. And to me, that's a trademark of a great coach.
Yeah.
Like it could have been easy to, tank it at that point and not respond. And they responded. And that's a lot of credit, I think, to Day and his leadership.
Yeah, 100%. I've said that a lot. That was a big talking point on this show is what this team has been through this year. And I think that's what separates them from all the other teams in the playoffs was the fact that they've been through that. That loss they had in Oregon I was there. It was absolutely heartbreaking, like the way it happened. It would have almost been better just to lose by 14. It probably would have been less painful. And then you go and do that with your 6-5 rival. And you have to have a team meeting to come back together. But they came out the other end, like you said, a different team, man, and they're doing their thing. So I just want to ask you guys, Donnie, we'll start with you. What stands out about this year's football team to you? Like, what you think got them to the Natty game. I mean, you got Jeremiah Smith, you got the 2 NFL running backs, you got, well, I mean, just absolutely littered with talent. But as a football player that's played on the team, what stands out to you when you watch them play?
Man, well, there's a great talent. So there's talent all over the roster. That's not the problem. What stands out is the adversity that Michigan game was the adversity that they needed to come together. And I see them playing for each other and just how violent on defense they're playing. I mean, just the physical nature of the way they're going about their business. And everybody's running to the ball every play. So the violence and the mindset that we're going to win this no matter what it takes, and playing for each other is what sticks out to me.
Yeah, I think that the thing that I'm seeing, and obviously being a lineman guy, and I know they talked about this a lot, I think it's just the dominance that we're seeing up front. Our offense and defensive lines have just completely dominated. And I know that linemen typically don't get a whole lot of attention, but if you look at, close games or big games, if you watch it from the trenches standpoint, you can tell pretty early in the game who's going to win based on who's winning the line of scrimmage. And that can tell you a lot. And lately, Ohio State has done that up front. And I think they hit I'll knock on them a little bit there for a couple of years. I started to question, their play up front. Their D-line wasn't getting things done. Their O-line wasn't getting things done. And it was kind of a concern. So seeing their dominance, the way they're coming off the ball, the way they've been playing in this postseason, I mean, they pieced together that offensive line. I mean, that thing was shaky. I mean, they had some injuries. They had to move guys around, and they have responded. I mean, obviously, Stover's getting all the attention right now, but, I mean, TJ and Stover and those guys on defense, I mean, that D-line has been wreaking havoc lately. Mm-hmm. And as a former D-lineman, I love seeing it.
Mm-hmm. You mean Sawyer?
Or, yeah.
We knew who you meant.
Sorry. A lot of great players they've gone through there.
Yeah, we knew who you meant. Melo, what you got?
So my question is, if this team wins on Monday, where would you rank them amongst the, starting at your class, amongst the national championship teams that have come through Ohio State?
Tim?
You know what? I'll take it first. That's fine. So I'm biased. I'm biased on this one because it's my team, and I get that. That was our team. But don't forget, we didn't have the – and I'm not knocking the other teams. Don't take it that way. But we didn't have a playoff opportunity. We had a 13-game playoff. If we would have lost any of those games, we were out.
We're out.
I mean, we're done. We couldn't afford to lose. Even when we were undefeated after beating, and they were still, everybody was saying, well, they don't deserve to be in the top 2. We shouldn't even been playing in that game. So the fact that, we went that route, that we were able to remain perfect for 14 games and win that national we may not have had, the crazy talent that some of these other teams have had. I understand that. But we're also the only one of those teams that went 14-0. And I think that, to me, stands out. And again, I know I'm a little biased because I was on that team. But there was I just feel like there was no room for error back then for anybody that won a national. I mean, if you lost a game, you were pretty much done for the year.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
That I honestly haven't thought about.
That's a lot of pressure too. If you think about it, that's an immense amount of pressure. And then I'm comparing it to their playoff run has been one of the toughest since the actual playoffs has started. But to go perfect to actually make it to a natty is a lot of pressure, and it's difficult in itself as well. So, yeah.
Donnie, you got it?
Yeah, I think our team, I mean, I got to pick our team to be the better, all across the board. Just for the fact that, I mean, we trusted each other with our lives. I would put my life on the line for Tim, and I knew he was doing the same thing for me. And I see that relationship that's going on now after the fact that they lost to that game. So they had that adversity that really galvanized them as a unit. And we had that from the first game. So we kept that kept that emotion and played with emotion and just put it all on the line for each other on every play, every single play.
Yeah.
So I think without any relaxation or lapses, man, we really put the pedal to the metal.
Yeah.
The whole
But one
time.
thing I gotta say, you guys gotta stop saying you didn't have talent. You guys had immense amount of talent on that team.
We had talent now.
Y'all definitely had some talent.
Yeah.
Gamble
I
was
don't
a
think
problem.
we didn't have the stars that they have. I don't even know if they had stars. When I was in high school, I was a 0 star. I never knew what a star was.
Man, on
I've been
Saturday,
asked that
y'all were
question.
all
Like, how many
stars.
stars were you coming out of high school? I was like, I don't know if they did that kind of stuff back
Yeah.
then. If I'm
0.
honest, I really
0.
don't know. Yeah, I would bet with Donnie.
Speaking of that subject, there's a lot of talking going on about how college football looks now, right? And you hear all these fans, even I do it, talk back and forth all the time. And really, we don't know anything, right? We're sitting here, we watch a TV screen. We're not in the trenches with the players. We've never been through the process. You guys have. So I can't think of two better people to ask about your guys' opinion on the transfer portal and NIL and all that. And now we know you wish NIL would have been back then. You guys deserved it. You should have got it back then. It's kind of wild it took this long, to be honest with you. But Donnie, what's your thoughts on how college football is shaping to be looking more like the NFL every year?
Guys, it's professional football.
Yeah.
It is professional football, every sense of the word. I mean, we might as well call it what it is. And student athletes, we didn't get paid, but there's going to be a salary cap. There's going to be a roster. There's going to be a collective bargaining agreement sooner rather than later for doing all the work because when we did it, we did it for a scholarship and room and board. And that's what we got paid. But these guys are getting real money.
Yeah.
And this NIL stuff is real money. And it's the Wild West right now. So the transfer portal, you can go wherever you want, whenever you want. It's basically free agency every year. So there needs to be some boundaries before it really gets out of control. But it's professional football right now. And it's headed towards an NFL model with 4 conferences in the divisions. And I think it's going to be just the NFL light. Well, not light, but I mean, it's going to rival the NFL as far as revenue and whatnot, I'm sure, with these playoffs. And that's the way it's going to head, man. I don't see it slowing down at all.
Yeah, you could argue.
But they got to get some regulations on that.
Yeah, you could argue that college football is 10 times crazier than the NFL is right now. Because, like you said, no contracts. You're like, you can sign a NIL deal, but you can go to the portal the next year and cash out again. It's wild. Tim, what you think, man?
I agree. They got to get some control on it. And I'm not anti-transfer portal. I think the transfer portal is not a bad thing. I don't like how they have it now.
Yeah.
Why in the hell they ever thought, oh yeah, let's open up the transfer portal in December when you have what genius was sitting in a room and said that's a good idea. But I don't like, and because you're asking a 17, 18-year-old kid in high school to make a decision on his next 4 or 5 years. Donnie and I, we made a good choice. We went to Ohio State, we survived, we made it through. But, we also played with guys that were from Florida, California and stuff like. I get you make that decision, you get to the college, and after a year or two, you're homesick. Like, I want to be. So I get, and you could transfer back then, but it was not advised because of the penalties.
Yeah.
So I don't mind the idea of a kid being able to transfer. But this crap where guys are literally playing for 3-4 different teams in the span of 4 or 5
years.
Seriously?
I think
you're literally bouncing from team to team every year. And you are right. I mean, it's worse than the NFL because there are no contracts. So they'll go for 1 year, play somewhere. If they play well, now all of a sudden they have a higher stock. So now they can enter the portal, go someplace, make more money. And just and I unfortunately, I think it's gonna take a little bit away from college football. I don't know. I mean, obviously time will tell, but I don't know. Even Donnie and I, we don't see each other very often. We run into each other here and there at a game, but when we do, we can sit there and we can talk for a half hour. like we just saw each other a couple days ago.
Right.
You know, and that's that camaraderie that we had from being in Columbus for 4 years together. You know, and I kind of wonder, like, what are the guys now? What's that going to be like for them, you know, in 15, 20 years? Because they played for 3 different teams and all of that. Like, will they still have that, you know, down the road?
So my solution, this is what just popped in my head while you were talking, literally. Move the season up so it's in August. You can't move the December transfer portal because of the semesters. So if you're going to transfer, you need to be enrolled at a new school. I think get rid of the spring transfer portal altogether. You don't need to. And yes, by doing that, moving the season up, instead of in the middle of playoffs or bowl games, it's almost like at the end of it. So that way the coaches aren't like killing themselves. Because I couldn't imagine being a head coach or Ryan Day having to deal with trying to win a natty, trying to beat your rival, trying to handle the transfer portal and keep your players here that you want to keep and keep them from being pilgrimage by another program, and then also trying to get players here that are in the portal. So I think it's just way too much and it's insane. But if you move the actual start date of the season, it could alleviate some of that because you can't get around the semester thing. Colleges are not going to do it just for college football. So I think that might be one of the only solutions that you have is to move the start date up.
Yeah, there's no doubt that they got to find a solution. It's way too wild right now. Melo bringing up the fact that Ryan Day's coaching for Natty right now, and he's also going to deal with bringing people in from the transfer portal, stopping players from going into the transfer portal, recruit for 2026. Yeah. You know, it's just absolutely wild, man. But I kind of want to dive in to the next thing we got coming, right? That's the Notre Dame game. So I want to get your guys' opinion and your thoughts. What's going to happen this game? I don't know if you guys got score predictions or what does Ohio State need to do to come in here and bring home a natty? Tim, what's your thoughts?
I think it's going to be a close game. I think Notre Dame's a really good team. I think defensively they're really, really good. From an unbiased perspective, I still think Ohio State's going to pull it out. I think it's going to be close. I just think Ohio State's got too many offensive weapons. You kind of saw that against Texas. Like, yeah, Texas kind of took Smith out of the game, but other guys stepped up, and they're still able to move the ball. They're still able to score. So there's just too many weapons to try to stop, I think, offensively for Ohio State if you're Notre Dame. And defensively for Ohio State, I think with some of the injuries that they've had on Notre Dame's offense, I haven't seen injury reports in the last couple of days, but they might be starting a couple of new guys. Are pretty limited in their experience, including a left tackle. That is basically every play he's going to have a stud over top of him. So I think our defensive line is going to have an advantage in that area, and I think that combined with the weapons we have on offense, I think Ohio State will pull it out. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Marcus Freeman's a great coach. I got a ton of respect for him. He played after Donnie and I. But just going back when we were in the league and working out, like I met him a handful of times to talk to him. He's a class act, super smart guy. And I think he's going to have those guys ready to go, pumping them guys up. And they're going to show up and they're going to play. But I think Ohio State at the end of the day is going to pull it. I just think there's just too many weapons. And I just think we're too good up front on defense.
Yeah. Amen. Donnie, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bloodbath. I mean, there's going to be two teams going at each other every play. I don't think it's going to be as close, though. I think Ohio State's going to run away with it. Just as far as having the legs to go 4 quarters with Ohio State, playing at this level with that much talent all over the field is going to be too much for Notre Dame. And I love Marcus. I've met him a few times, and, man, he runs a great program. But I just think, we're too much. Our Ohio State is going to run away with it, probably like 34-17-ish, maybe 14 points, 2-3 scores.
He's ahead.
I think we're gonna run away with it.
Yeah, I like it. Sean Rollins, appreciate you. Gifted Buckeye Boys membership. Appreciate you, man. We got Kirk Barton in the chat over there on Scoop. I don't know if Donnie, you saw the comment he put up about the sack you had on dude, and he's in here asking about
talking about Lindell.
Yeah, when you sacked Lindell, and then I think he's asking another question about how was Mark D'Antoni as a DC.
Man,
still have
he was
nightmares,
awesome.
not him.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, a lot of star power on this team, right? So I got to get your opinion. Donnie, I definitely need to know your thoughts on
obviously, a lot of star power on this team, right? So I got to get your opinion. Donnie, I definitely need to know your thoughts on obviously.
Yep, there. I figured it was him. It was Sean having some feedback on his thing, but Donnie, I got to get your opinion, man, on and Tim, you as well, but Donnie, because of your position that you played. Caleb Downs, man, what's your thoughts, bro?
Man, he's a freak, man. He's a freak. Just a natural. He can cover, he can hit, he can tackle. Man, he covers like a corner, hits like a linebacker, is great, fundamentally sound, man. He's an amazing player. Like, he's exciting to watch. He reminds me a lot of a number 2 that I played with, Mike Doss.
Yep.
Just how physically intimidating and opposing he was. Like, man, it was a honor to play with him, and I'm sure it's fun to play with guys like that, like Caleb Downs, and it's going to be fun to see how far he can do it and how long his career can be. Because, man, he's got all the tools. He's like a 5-tool baseball player. You just plug him in anywhere and he can play. He can do all the things.
Yeah.
We did it for one more year.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we do. Well, we wouldn't be a Buckeye show if we didn't also ask about the other freshman phenom. We call him, Melo calls him Optimus Prime. Mr. J.J. Smith. Tim, what's your thoughts on J.J.?
He's a
grown man.
The crazy thing is, and this is one thing, and I actually had a conversation with some people about this. The fact that this guy came in, and I think he's 19. Is that correct?
He just turned 19.
Just turned 19. I mean, this kid, I almost want to go back and watch his high school film from last year. I mean, I can't imagine. This dude was playing high school football a year ago. How do you think that looked? I mean, this guy is just physically, mentally, it's amazing that he is this developed this young. The way he can take over games, the way he can have explosive plays. You see good freshmen, don't get me wrong. You don't see freshmen like him very often. We played with one when we were in college, and he was pretty damn good too. And he just, I love watching him play. The defense is, you got to account for him. You're going to have to put 2-3 guys on him to try to stop him. It's going to open up other things. But the fact that he has that ability, that talent, that skill, he's developed that much. And he seems to understand the game. And I think that's the biggest thing. The game gets really complicated. People don't realize how much goes on in a short period of time. And I was a lineman, so it was pretty easy. But these receivers, based on what DBs are doing, what the coverages are, they got to break off routes. They got to change this, that, and the other. And the fact that he's doing that at just turning 19 as a freshman in college is crazy.
Yeah.
And that we have him for 2 more years.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I got to give a shout out to Donald and Karen Rochbrook real fast. They gifted 5 memberships. Appreciate you, Donald and Karen.
Donald.
What were you saying, Melo?
Guess who's going to be with him his last year? A 6'5" freak himself, and Chris Henry Jr. So you have Chris Henry Jr. outside and Optimus outside on the other, and it's going to be ridiculous. And I can't wait.
I got to say this. I don't think it's been talked about enough, but you go back and watch JJ's high school film. Very, very good, dominant receiver. But Brian Hartline has done a number on that dude coming here to Ohio State, meaning he's gotten way better. And Mickey in the weight room, look at Jay, like you said, Donnie, looks like a grown man. He didn't look quite like that in high school. Compared to the high school kids he did, but now he's looking like that against college kids as well. So shout out the coaching staff as well. I think I don't think that's really been touched on a bunch, but
Yeah.
Brian Hartline is doing Brian Hartline things with Mr. JJ, getting him on the field as a freshman, understanding defenses the way he does, Tim, like you said, and all that stuff he's got to learn. So,
And I watched
Brian
a lot of
Hartline is
his
probably
high
the
school
best
games.
coach in college football. I would argue Brian Hartline is probably one of the best coaches in college or the NFL that's not a head coach.
Yeah, I
It is
agree.
ridiculous what that dude has done with countless guys over the years.
Yeah, I agree.
So Kirk
And his,
said, imagine, I was going to read that.
yeah, read it.
Good.
Kirk said, imagine being 18 and having to block Will, D-Man, and Tim every day in practice.
Yeah.
That emoji with the skull.
Yeah.
That was old Kirk's life for you.
Yeah, so I watched a lot of Optimus in high school, and that's why I came up with Optimus, because of Megatron. He really reminded me of him. Megatron came to Georgia Tech like shortly after you guys graduated. He was the same year as me.
Yeah.
And double, triple team, that's the only way you could stop him. Sometimes that wouldn't work, and that's why it reminds me of him. But I knew he was a dog when he played Bergen Catholic. They flew down to Chaminade Madonna, the best high school team in New Jersey, and they were a top 5, top 10 team. He didn't even play the entire fourth quarter. I think he didn't. He sat the fourth quarter and he had 275 yards and 3 touchdowns on 8 catches. I was like, that's different.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And and Ohio State is actively recruiting kids off of that Bergen Catholic team. So like that's why I knew he was different.
All right, fellas. We're going to start wrapping her up here, so I guess we'll go around. We'll each ask one more question, then give Tim and Donnie opportunity to say any final words for Buckeye fans, man. So Sean, bring Sean back on real fast. Seems like, can you hear us? Can you see us? Are the technical difficulties fixed? Okay.
I can finally see you guys and hear you guys.
Oh, there's my baby girl. She said, shout out, sexy man. Thanks. Actually, never mind. I don't know who that is. Some random girl called me sexy. Thank you. No, thanks. Thank you, babe.
Thank Tim and Donnie. I mean, for bringing home a championship. I mean, people my age, we all lived through the Cooper years, so we saw a lot of those good teams, not be able to get the job done, and you guys finally brought us home a natty. So because of that, you guys will always be my favorite team, of course. Not blowing smoke up your guys' butt because you're here, but honestly, you guys will always be my favorite team and most of the people in my generation's favorite team. I would like to know, what was it like playing for Coach D'Antoni? Because he just seems like he was always so intense, like an old school coach that would just, he just always looked pissed off, like he never smiled.
He was pissed off all the time. He did smile. I don't even know if he smiled after the championship game. He may not have. He was awesome. I loved playing for him. I learned so much from him. Ton of respect for him. I responded to his type of coaching. Like we talked about Tress earlier. I feel just as blessed that I got to play for D'Antonio, and obviously he went on and had a great head coaching career at Cincinnati and Michigan State. But it was awesome. I loved playing for him. I loved his hard-nosed attitude and the way he did things. I loved it.
Yeah. Coach D'Antonio is a great man, first of all, but man, he's a great coach. I mean, he learned from Saban, so he had that demeanor. And man, I love the fact that we ran an attack defense to where we're playing man-to-man and we're sending people all the time, running stunts up front. Trying to be aggressive with defense. I don't like bend, don't break. I like attack. And he was really a great chess player. Some guys play chess, some guys play checkers. But if you're playing chess and man, you don't want to get checkmate, and he had the ability to really think through a game plan and take away a team's weapons and make them beat us with their offhand, make them beat us left-handed. And man, I love the guy. I did see him smile a few times, and it was rare, but man, you could get him to crack a smile every once in a while. But man, he's a great guy. I really owe him a lot too for sticking with me and bringing me through some things off the field that really helped me more than anything he's done in football. So
yeah. Amen. Awesome. You guys still hang out with old teammates every once in a while? Did you build friendships there that you still have to this day? Obviously you have, but I mean, like best friends, you're seeing them every day and all that.
No, not every day, but we're in a group chat and
nice.
it's pretty active. So we get to interact with each other quite often. I mean, the relationships that we've built in those years in college, man, it's been a lifetime of friendship, and just couldn't be more grateful for those guys that were there for me, and then the guys that are in. Man, I'm excited to see the relationships that get made through this team, these teams coming up, and man, it's been awesome.
Yeah, I think with everybody, obviously families, kids, all that stuff, we're all over the place. I'm up here in Canton, so but when we do, like I said earlier, we do run into each other at games. It's like we were playing together yesterday.
Yeah,
conversations and things of that nature. It is. I mean, when they say Buckeyes for life, I mean they mean it. It is 100% true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, amen. Melo, what you got?
So I'm going to say, first off, I'm going to salute both of you gentlemen for coming on the show and for actually being a catalyst to where we are today. You guys turned the program around with that NATTY win. It was the most spectacular NATTY win, in my opinion, thus far, because of just the difference in caliber level between the Hurricanes and our team at the time, what was thought of. And the U still hasn't recovered. You guys broke the U, honestly, so you could probably say that to anybody, not just Willis McGahee's knee, by the way, but I mean the program literally. And I just thank you guys for coming on and being great Buckeye legends and for being a catalyst for where we are today and where we're going to go on Monday. So that's my whole thing. The only question I have for you guys is, what was it, because we didn't ask you this yet, what was your experience like in the NFL, and what was that like in comparison to college? And if you had to choose between college life and NFL life, which one would you prefer?
100%, I would do college over the NFL. 100%. Just the guys, the camaraderie, stuff like that. My NFL career was pretty short. It was 4 years. I'm not ashamed to admit I peaked out in college. Got to the NFL, had some success early on, and then kind of had some struggles. Confidence got shaken a little bit. And it stands for not for long for a reason. So, but I was able to get 4 years. I got vested and all that kind of stuff. But if I had a choice, I would much rather go back and play those college years again over what I did in the NFL. Plus, with the NIL now, shoot, I probably would have made more in college than I did in the NFL anyway.
Yeah. Good point.
How about you, Donnie?
Man, I agree with Tim. Like the friendships and relationships that we made in college are such great things, and that happened in the NFL too. But there was just a different story. Like, man, our vision was to win national championships with an S on the end. And that's what we did. And that's what we started. And that year we won that national championship to be the first of a new dynasty of Buckeye football. And I think it takes that camaraderie, it takes that brotherhood and that sacrifice for that to happen. And then we're watching it unfold as we speak. And that's just a legacy of what we built. Tim and I built there when we were there, and we put our work in, and it's just going to continue. So the college relationships and the game, and I played in the NFL. I played special teams, so I was the special teams captain. So I didn't get to play because I wasn't quick enough to cover. All I could do was hit people with my helmet, which today, I mean, I wouldn't even be able to play.
You would have gotten ejected in every game you played.
I would have got targeting.
Every game you would have been tossed with targeting.
So I'd have been a liability. So I wouldn't even see in the field in college nowadays.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I kind of got a two-parter. Want to get your guys' opinions on Will Howard, and in the midst of your opinion, you got to shoot us a score prediction, man, for the NATTY game. So, Donnie,
got that second part out because was his score.
Donnie, start us off, man.
Man, what did you say about Will Howard?
Just your overall thoughts on Will Howard. There's people out there saying he's the worst quarterback, and they're psychos, but whatever. I'm gonna get your thoughts.
He's playing great. Like he's playing like well above the expectations for Will Howard. I mean, I don't know whatever your expectations are. they're never going to be attained to some people. But I mean, he's
Yeah.
playing lights out. Like, he's making the right decisions. He's leading the team. He's connected with each other. He's connected with the other players, and they're playing for him. Like, the offensive line is blocking for him. Man, I think they got the secret sauce going, and we just got to keep going with that.
Amen. Did you already say your score prediction, Donnie?
34-17, Ohio State.
Yeah, amen. I like it.
I agree. I think Will Howard's doing a phenomenal job. I think he's smart. He may not have the athletic ability that some of the quarterbacks we've had in the past, and maybe that's why people say that. But he makes smart decisions. He's an accurate passer. He throws some balls that, they're on a dime. They're impressive. So I've heard that comment too when people say that. It makes no sense to me. The only thing I kind of chalk that up to is just people that really don't understand football or what they're really looking at. But I think he's playing great. I think we're fortunate to have him. I'm glad he chose Ohio State. So it'll be good. And it'll be good Monday night. I'm going to say 24-14.
Okay. I like it. Yeah, you had even some big-time national media guys when it was the Final Four saying that Will Howard was the worst quarterback left in the playoffs, and the dude just has everything, man. Like, there was this narrative at the beginning of the season that he doesn't have a deep ball, not really good at passing the ball downfield. He's killed that narrative. He's an exceptional leader on the field. You saw it. I just pulled up the comment about him being the hype man on the sideline. You see how tough he is. Had a huge knot on his hand, didn't faze him at all, still played in the game. So I love Will Howard. The dude's an absolute gamer, man, and excited for this Ohio State team. I'm excited for these seniors, these fifth-year seniors, and other players on the team that haven't really done anything yet at Ohio State. And I'm not bashing them. That's what they say. No Big Ten title, no national. They haven't accomplished their goals, and now they finally get an opportunity to accomplish that final goal. Ryan Day gets a chance to shut a lot of people up. He's already shut a lot of people up, you know what I mean, with the wins that he's had. But I just couldn't think of a better ending to a season, obviously. I also can't thank you guys enough for coming on the show. It's been an absolute honor, a big-time honor to have you guys on here. Love talking to past Buckeyes, man, and especially two players that played on a national title team. I couldn't think of two better guys to talk to. So appreciate you guys, man. Hopefully we can get you on again in the future, man. That's what we do here on the Buckeye Boys. We like getting guests on, talking to people, getting different perspectives. So if you're watching, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Appreciate you guys in the chat. Don't forget we're a fan channel, man. Shoot us an email if you want to come on. Give Tim and Donnie a shout out for coming on here, sharing some of their experiences with us. Not everybody says yes when we ask. They did, and we appreciate it. So, Tim and Donnie, appreciate you guys, man. On that note,
hold up,
go Buck.
Are we doing score predictions since it's Wednesday, or are we going to
more have another show?
Okay, bet.
Yeah, we'll have another show. But, on that note, Scum sucks. Team Up North, they suck, man. Not even playing a natty, so get out of our face, dude. Go Buckeyes. OH.
I baby. Yeah.